You are listening to the Nature's Premier Podcast, episode 63, Zero Waste Baby. Here on the Nature's Premier Podcast, we talk about everything from bees to babies and sustainable living. Join us while we talk about natural parenting and different ways to live a more sustainable lifestyle for ourselves and our future generations to come. Now let's begin. Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode here on the Nature's Premier Podcast. I am your host, Brooke Nichols, and I am blessed to be here with you all today. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. So the premise of Nature's Premier is to talk about everything from bees to babies, talk about sustainability issues, talk about natural parenting, and really try to blend those together. And today I really wanted to stay true to that topic and talk about a very big industry, or a movement rather, that is called zero waste. And that is going to be about zero waste parenting. So a lot of people know about zero waste, like using water bottles, reusable bottles, just reusing straws, reusing bags. I mean, there has been a huge push in like the last 20 years to really start reducing our consumption. And, for many reasons. I mean, obviously we know that we are, inundating our landfills with garbage. We're just very, very wasteful. Even families who are, trying to, recycle and, reuse things, there's still so many more things that we can do to really just cut back our consumption completely. And the best thing that we can do is to reuse items. Now, recycling is amazing. I'm not going to take away from the program that, many countries have in place for recycling, but to actually reuse an item is just so much better in my personal opinion. So, what I wanted to talk about today was about zero waste parenting, which is, zero waste baby. That's a hashtag that we always use on the podcast. And it's something that I wanted to, dive more into today. There was an article published recently by ABC saying that more parents today are using cloth diapers, which I think is incredible. And they're saying a lot of younger parents are using cloth diapers. And there's a big reason for it because, again, there is a huge trend to become more zero waste and for more families to really reduce their consumption of the products that they use daily. Now, a lot of people, though, they don't really know about zero waste and they don't know how to implement that in their nursery. So today I'm just going to give you a couple quick ideas and tips on what you can do to literally transform your nursery. So now, before we begin with today's episode, a word from our sponsor, Nature's Premier Diaper Service. One of the easiest ways that you can reduce your eco footprint is to switch to a cloth diaper service. Nature's Premier is a cloth and compostable diaper service, providing families throughout Long Island and New York City with a healthier way to diaper their babies. Check them out at www.naturespremier.com to learn more. Now on to the show. So when a lot of people think about welcoming a new baby into their lives, they think about all of just the amazing things that come with babies, right? The smiles, the giggles, the laughs, the hugs, the warmth, the comfort, the connection. But some people like to think about the trash. And that's what today's episode is going to be about. Again, it's going to be about reducing your consumption with your baby. So for those of you who are new to the show, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any upcoming episodes that do talk about these issues, do talk about sustainability, as a whole on a bigger level, and really do try to blend it into the lives of families and anyone who listens. There are many websites out there that offer, advice on like green babies and, urge new parents to purchase clothes and diapers, made of natural fibers, and like really put a lot of emphasis into purchasing new items and not actually like reusing items and not going into how expensive a lot of these items are and how out of reach they may be for many families. And I think what happens in the whole zero waste gamut of things is that people get very discouraged and they think it's something that's supposed to be like, oh, well, only rich people do that, or only a certain, type of person does it, or I'm not privileged to do it. And something that's beautiful about, eco-parenting, natural parenting, and the whole zero waste movement is that anyone can do it, from any background, from any ethnicity, from any, economic standpoint. I mean, anyone can reduce their eco-consumption. Now, like I said, there's a lot of websites that are very well-meaning, but a lot of times they do, in my personal opinion, leave people out. Because not everyone can afford the, luxurious eco labels, the organic baby brushes, all these really cool things that are on the market. And it's not even like when we're really being real about it, green parenting, green living isn't a label. It's literally a practice that you implement every single day. So it's important before we begin that, anyone can do this. And, when we talk about eco-friendly things, and people immediately think it's going to be, they think of Whole Foods, right? Like they think of Whole Foods, oh, I don't shop at Whole Foods, I can't do that. It's not about shopping, and it's really just about doing the opposite. It's about reducing your consumption. And, it's going to be hard for a lot of families, right, to switch to different things. Maybe they bought, a ton of, let's say, plastic baby bottles or something like that. I mean, listen, you gotta work with what you have, but it's all about what you do moving forward and the little steps that you take, the little changes you make in your day-to-day to really make a difference, because it does make a difference. And, I love what Mahatma Gandhi said about, if you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito in your room. You know what I mean? Like, those little guys, they will make it known that they're there. And that's the same thing with any movement that you join, or even you're a part of, or maybe you don't want to join it and you're just like, you know what, man? Yeah, okay, I'll start using reusable water bottles, but don't call me a hippie. Like, that's totally cool too. So anyway, some very simple tips that you can implement into your zero waste baby journey is, the first one, I'm just going to say it, is using cloth diapers. Y'all know we've been in the industry for the last 10 years, but I will say a lot of people like to sleep on the impact cloth diapers have on the environment. I mean, the positive impact, because it's such a no-brainer. When it comes to wanting to reduce waste, is to literally not use the waste, right? Like literally just reuse a product. And that's where cloth diapers come in. Now, there's a bunch of different ways that you can cloth diaper. You can use a service like Nature's Premier, where you get a subscription service every month and they pick up the diapers. You don't have to buy them. You just give them back at the end of your, service term. Or you can do something that's, cheaper, which is going to be home laundering at home, buying all of your diapers, right? And then, using them, and then you can even turn around, donate them, you can sell them, or you can even buy reusable diapers. Now, the biggest thing with using cloth diapers is that, again, they are reusable, so you're not throwing diapers away. Even if, let's say, a pre-fold diaper, for example, like the ones that, like, when people think of, like, cloth diaper services, or they think about, like, cloth diapering back in, like, the 40s and 50s, they think of, like, this long sheet, which is really like a flat diaper. Even if, let's say, that's so gnarly stained that you're embarrassed to use it, which it's a diaper, it's doing its purpose, but let's say it's super stained, right? You can literally turn around and you can clean windows with that. Clean it really well, so it's not dirty, but, you can literally use them as rags. I mean, that's what we do at the diaper service. We tell people that all the time. We donate to a lot of families. We donate to a lot of different cleaning services. Cleaning services love the diapers that we have. The pre-fold diapers are freaking awesome. They work really, really well. And that's what I clean with in my own home. I do not use paper towels. I have like a roll of paper towels because I have pets. And, let's say if I have an aging Yorkie who is just, really, really at the end of her life, and she just likes to pee all the time, unannounced, right? So I'll use it for that. But like, I maybe go through a roll of paper towels once a month, maybe. Like, I'm so militant with what I use in my home. And the best way to, again, to reduce your eco footprint, even if you just do this and nothing else, is to switch to cloth diapers. Now, yes, there are compostable diapers. Those are cool. But again, those are an in-between. Those are still producing waste. We tell families that all the time when they call our service, like, oh, hey, we just, cloth diapers sound nice, but I feel like, compostable diapers are just as eco-friendly. And, even if it's a service we provide it because we're trying to reduce waste in our landfills. But in our hearts, it's really, and in our minds, cloth diapers are like a no-brainer. They're, the most eco-friendly option to diapering, next to something called elimination communication, which is a pretty gnarly way to potty train, truthfully. But I see people do it all the time. I think it's amazing. I couldn't do it. It's when you have your child potty trained when they're still a baby. It's all about looking for cues, and there's books written about it. I have a lot of respect for that because I think that is awesome. If you can get your baby out of diapers by 6 months, you're doing something right. So I don't know enough about it. We'll probably have someone on the show. That's actually a great idea to talk about elimination communication. But second best, probably more commonly used, or more accepted rather, is going to be cloth diapers. Now, another tip we love to tell families for them to, go on their zero waste baby journey, right, is to use washcloths instead of wipes. Use cloth wipes, whether you buy them, whether you literally, cut up old flat diapers and you use them for wipes. We always recommend cloth wipes. Even our families who use, let's say, the compostable diapers, we always tell them to use cloth wipes because there's a lot of benefits, aside from reducing the waste. It's, there's no chemicals on your baby's skin. And when you have a newborn baby, I'm not a doctor, and I'm just gonna, put that out there, but we've worked with like, I don't know, maybe 50,000 babies, no lie, like in the last 10 years. And, we've seen so many different things that happens when, you use like a disposable wipe that has chemicals on it on a baby's skin, especially in their most gentle areas, right? Like their most sensitive areas, you're wiping like the baby clean. Let's say in your head you're using like let's say a very nice smelling wipe from a big brand. You're using this on your baby, and it's literally like, it smells nice, it smells fresh, but those are chemicals. And it's been proven that chemicals in diapers and disposable wipes do not leave your baby's skin. It takes a lot more than like one wipe, and the skin is so porous. It's our biggest organ, and it sucks anything up immediately. And you can always see it like in those things that you put in your shoes that like absorb the toxins, so to speak. Like you'll see like they turn black. I think it's like a Chinese herbalist type of thing, but a lot of people will put these pads in their shoes and they'll try to suck toxins out of their feet, and they're always black. And it's, some people say, oh, it's a parlor trick, but really it's because our feet absorb so much. We have our sweat glands at the bottom of our feet, just like in other parts of our bodies. And, it literally is like a sponge. So when you're using items like a disposable wipe, disposable diapers, that is going on your baby, just straight up, that it's going on your baby. And, we really want to reduce the chemicals that are exposed to our children, to reduce any further issues like allergies or sensitivities, as they get older. And not for nothing, like disposable wipes just simply aren't necessary. Yes, they're convenient, but they generate a whole lot of bothersome chemical-laden waste. I mean, again, all you need is washcloths. Add a little water to it. You don't need Lysol disinfectant spray to clean your baby up. You know what I mean? This is organic matter coming out. You don't need to, hose your baby down, even though some people do that. Instead of even using wipes, they'll use like a diaper sprayer. They'll use their sink, which I'm totally cool with too, because they don't even want to aggravate anything down there and use a wipe, especially if the baby's sensitive. So that's something to really take into consideration. You got the twofold aspect. You got the chemical free and you got the zero waste. So when you take these two items out of your household or your diaper bag, just to say, like, so to speak, you really are, it's kind of like a two-pronged sword. You really are taking that out of the equation, and you're reducing your baby's chemical exposure and you're reducing your waste. Because, not for nothing, disposable wipes kind of suck too when you think about it, because, cloth wipes just clean up more, man. Like, I just feel like you can fold them over a bunch. You can just clean them up more, right? And if you're really so inclined, you can even get like a Prince Lionheart wipe warmer. And that's what I use with my kids. I don't know if they still have them for cloth wipes, but I use them, and I use them with my older two. Then my third one, I was like, all right, you're fine. We don't need a bougie wipe warmer. But it was really nice. Like, it was so much better. It's like a luxurious like towel service for your baby, right? So that's just really like how you have to think of it. And then again, when you're done with your wipes, you can, donate them to someone that can use them. You can even like clean up the edge and sell them if you want. Like, there's so many things that you can do with them. Cleaning, for your bathroom. And if you really want to even get down the rabbit hole of, zero waste families, there are people that use unpaper towels, like untoilet paper, they call it. They don't even use regular toilet paper, but that's for another topic. So for those of you who haven't shut this episode off already, we don't have to get down there, but that is an option for sure. Another way to reduce your consumption, to become more of a zero waste parent, is to buy used clothes. Now, I know when new families hear that, they're like, no freaking way am I going to have my baby in a onesie that was in another baby that I don't know. Like, there's this whole bias that we have towards reusable items. And, it could stem from like the fact that we are, like hobbits kind of, we're in our little homes, we're in our apartments, we're in our areas where like we feel safe and we don't want any outside germs coming in. And there's a lot, especially when a mother is nesting, which is a very real thing, especially if you've had kids. You know that like when your baby's coming, or as soon as you adopt a baby, you want to get everything ready, right? You want everything to be ready and perfect for baby's big day. And, a lot of times families just equate that with having everything new. But truthfully, you can get some amazing financial deals on items that, baby items that were used maybe once or twice. Now think about it. Think of it like the really cute like onesies that you've gotten, let's say, that are like 0 to 3 months. Let's say you have a baby that's 9 pounds and they were able to rock it with like half of it open because they're so big, maybe one time. And then you're going to turn around and throw it out, or turn around and donate it. I mean, that donating is great and we're all about like reusing, but that's a big reason why we always say to like check out consignment shops. I mean, that is such an amazing way to get more life out of that item, because one baby might have rocked it once, twice, 3, 10 times, right? But your kid might rock it 10, 15 times, 20 times, 50 times. I mean, there are so many used baby clothes available that it really just doesn't make any sense to buy new. And a lot of times these used baby items, like quote unquote used items, have never been used. I mean, I know from personal experience, I've had well-intentioned families, buy a ton of clothes for me that I've never even opened, like packages that I never opened. It has happened so many times, especially having 3 daughters. People just buy you things, like they'll just buy dresses. And I always feel so bad, but now I don't feel bad. If I get something that I know my kids aren't going to wear, I'm going to donate it immediately. I'm going to leave the tags on because I want somebody to pick it up. I want somebody to be able to take it and take the donated item and be able to use it and, get some life out of it. The funny thing too is that, a lot of these clothes, are almost in perfect condition. Like truthfully in perfect condition, especially baby clothes, because you probably have a ton of them in your drawers, and you probably, or you have like 3 or 4 that you might be your go-tos. Like I know with my daughters, I had a couple that I really thought were cute. They fit well. They were easy to get along. I liked the feel of the cotton. So I just jammed out to those, even though I had clean ones. And a lot of times my husband would pull something out that like was the wrong season, wrong holiday. I'm like, what are you doing? So we had so much. We were very grateful to get all the gifts that we've had, all the clothes that we've had, but we just had too much. It was just too much. We would just tell them to buy our children books or to donate an item in my child's name. Like that's what I would say. And they're like, oh no, we got to get you something. We got to get you something. I'm like, dude, just don't get me a freaking onesie, man. Like, just don't get me a onesie, please. For the love of God, don't get me another onesie. So and the reason why I'm sharing my story is because I'm probably not alone. Like, I'm sure there are so many people out there that have so many baby clothes. They feel so bad. They want to hold it on for another baby. There's just so much going on. And then you break and you're like, you know what? I'm getting rid of these things. And that's where someone that's really looking to reduce their consumption comes in. And they can get these clothes for like $1, $2 on for a shirt, for a onesie, probably for a whole bag. Especially like really, really nice items, right? So like a lot of people will think it might be like lower end clothing, but you'd be surprised, man. You'd be surprised. There are so many people, that donate such nice clothes that have barely been used. And another thing that's funny too is that we really overestimate the amount of baby clothes that we need in our lives. I mean, you don't need that much. So like if you're someone that's in the same journey that I am, I was in zero waste for a long time. That's just my life now. But another thing that I'm doing, that's new to me that I'm having a hard time with, but I'm fighting, I'm doing the best that I can, is my minimalism, right? So like I'm, someone that, I grew up very poor. I didn't have a lot of things. And now that as my kids are getting older, they just have things that I never had when I was a kid. And, something about me, I like to keep things, right? I want to keep certain things as like memories and all this other stuff. But the thing is with like baby clothes, or even clothes like that, it's like, we don't need, 55 white onesies. I mean, you just don't do it. Think about how many clothes you have as a person, like an older person, an adult, right? That's the name for an adult. Think about how many clothes you have. I rotate like the same 5 shirts, no lie. Like I have like my fancy shirts and like that I go out in for like kids functions or whatever, and like, or me and my husband, we go out, whatever, but there's like 5 tees that I rock. Like a couple of them are like PETA shirts. Like, I mean, I'm very, very, maybe I'm just very minimal. Like I'm just very basic, but you also have to think about like how much your kid's actually going to use. And that's one part of the whole like zero waste movement, is the minimalism aspect. Like we really overestimate exactly what we need in our lives. And it's very, very important to be realistic about what we can bring in. Because remember, like for everything you bring in, you should have 2 things that go out. That should be like or one thing go out. That should be like your motto. So you're living more clutter free, you're living zero waste because you're not consuming a bunch of different things and having it go to waste, or buying too much that you're not going to use. And you're also, minimalizing your lifestyle so you can actually enjoy these things and get the most out of everything that you have. Now, another way to reduce your consumption with your children, with your babies, is hashtag zero waste baby that we love to use on Instagram. And that is to make your own baby food. A lot of people want to sneeze at that, right? Like I'm not making my own baby food. Or at least they did, like, when my oldest was younger. Now it's more common, but still, like, people buy these packages from the store and they spend all this money on this food, and it's like, you can literally get a good blender, which is an investment. I mean, you can get one that's like $50 at Target, or you can get a $500 one like Vitamix, but you really don't need anything crazy expensive. Although I will segue for 1 second and say that my Vitamix purchase that I purchased probably back in like 2011 was one of the best purchases I've ever made. I love my Vitamix. You have to just maintain it every couple of years. Like, I need to get new blades, but it was like, I think I got it on sale for like $3.99, and it was amazing. It's still amazing. I love it. It's just, a badass old lady on my counter. It's just getting older, but it's amazing. And I use it probably 4 or 5 times a day. So you can certainly invest in a good blender, or you can buy a cheap blender if you're just going to make it for baby food. I mean, but that really does help to reduce the waste that's coming into your kitchen and into your lives. And not for nothing, when we're being, honest here, like, making your own baby food's a lot healthier than getting it from the store, especially since this baby food's pasteurized. You can make your baby like blended bananas, organic bananas, and, organic strawberries, and they would probably love that 10 times more than they would love the one at the store. So not only are you saving money, aside from the initial investment of the blender, or you may have one, or you can even borrow one, but you are, you're saving money, and you're also reducing any chemical additives. Even in like the more healthier brands, let's say, there's still preservatives, there's still additives in it. You know what I mean? You're taking that out, and you're also, reusing the, those little jars. Buy a bunch of those little baby jars, those little glass jars, and you can put them in the refrigerator for when, like, family, relatives, friends come over. Maybe you're a work-at-home mom, or you're a stay-at-home mom, or, you work out of the home. Like, you can use those, store those in the refrigerator, and when baby's ready to eat, you just pop those out and you rewash it and you put it back in, you make your baby food again. It really does help to minimize the packaging that comes into your home, and it's just a great way to, add to your zero waste journey. Another tip is to breastfeed if you can. Breastfeeding is the greenest way to feed your baby because it generates no waste at all. Especially if you're like, breastfeeding from the tap, so to speak. Like, just, you guys know what I mean. If you're not using bottles and the baby's going directly on you, there's no waste. There's literally just you and your baby feeding your baby. By breastfeeding, you can avoid a lot of wasteful packaging. I mean, that's a fact. And that just comes with buying formula in general, bottles, bags, nipples, and sterilization, gear. So you can save a lot of money, anywhere from $15,000 to over $4,000 in that first year. And I will say, though, I have met many families who have tried to breastfeed or who chose not to breastfeed, and that's a whole separate personal matter. So I am definitely in the camp. I love breastfeeding. I'm grateful that I was able to breastfeed my 3 daughters, but I am in the camp of fed is best. So I'm never going to stand on one end of the other and ever do any mommy shaming BS, because I don't think that's cool. I don't think we need it. I think we have enough of that in our lives. I am very much in the camp of fed is best. But if you are someone that is like anticipating breastfeeding, that's just another perk, and it's something that you can add to the long list of breastfeeding pros, right? Like the pro side, pro and cons. Pro is definitely that it's minimal waste. Now, I will say, though, if you're someone that really does want to reduce your consumption, really want to live that zero waste baby lifestyle, then I would definitely recommend, if you're going to use formula, is to see if you're going to do cow's milk or soy milk. There's pros and cons to both. I never used formula, so I'm not familiar with formulas. I don't really talk about it too much because I don't want to give bad advice. But one thing I will say is using glass baby bottles. That is a great way to, segue into zero waste, even if you're not breastfeeding. Or let's say you're breastfeeding, but you can't, breastfeed from the tap. It's so corny that I say that. I think it's so funny every time I say it. Let's say you have to use a bottle, right? So I actually use a bottle. I used an eyedropper with my oldest because I had really bad mastitis for like 3 weeks. It was really gnarly, and I'm like super extreme. So we used an eyedropper. Imagine that. 2 grandmas that want to see their first grandbaby, and I'm making them give them an eyedropper. All right, that was a fun time. Anyway, a great way, though, is to reduce your plastic consumption and just switch to like glass. Or I don't know if they have metal baby bottles. I don't think so. I'm not really familiar with that, but I did use this one brand called Born Free. I'm not sure if they're still around, but they were great. And again, I really didn't use bottles too much, but I did use it for the eyedropper. And I did have families and friends that, did use Born Free, and that was a gift that I always gave them at their baby showers, because you can just, use the glass for something else, right? Peel the little Born Free label off or whatever label's on there and use it for something else. Use it for baby food. You could use it literally for yogurt. You can, make kombucha out of it, right? If it's not too tiny. I don't know. I think it's probably too tiny. But you get my drift. You can collect coins. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do. But that is a great way, breastfeeding, to reduce your packaging waste. And if you're formula feeding, make sure you're using a reusable baby bottle. Try to stay away from plastic. Just that's my thing. Like, just try to stay away from plastic. Plastic is everywhere. 95% of plastic ever made is still here. So we really, really advise against like just purchasing plastic, putting your dollar towards plastic, because it's just a big problem on our planet. Another way to reduce your baby waste or your zero waste parenting baby waste is to be very mindful of the toys that you bring into your home. So like there are so many, especially when Babies R Us was opened, there were so many gadgets and things that people would want to get babies. Like they would, especially for me, like they would buy us a ton of things with lights and all this crazy stuff, all these plastic things. And I had to put my foot down very early in my child's life and tell them that we didn't want this stuff in our house because they're so cheap. Like, not cheap financially, because actually a lot of them were pretty expensive. I remember there were some gifts that were like 60, $70. I'm like, really? But, they're so cheaply made, and there's just so many different dyes on them that if they break, it's like you can't do anything with it. You got to throw it out. You know what I mean? So, like, really focus on, like, getting wooden toys. We talk a lot about that in the zero waste episode, the clutter-free episode about your life. We did mention this, so I'm not going to talk about it too much, but be very mindful of the toys that you bring into your home. Make sure that, you're going to get a bunch of toys. It's just going to happen, right? They're just going to come out of nowhere. They're going to come flying at you. You got to kind of karate chop them, whichever ones you don't want to deal with. But I would really recommend like trying to stay on the whole Montessori thing, wooden toys, high quality toys. You really just don't want to deal with a ton of plastic in your home because it's garbage. It's all garbage. And that's just one way that you're just going to continuously add more consumables to your nursery when you're trying to reduce your waste. So be mindful, maybe get small wooden toys, few and far between, maybe puzzles, things like that. Really try to keep the clutter at a minimal. That is something that would really help you on your zero waste journey. And just a side note, I read this in an article, actually. It was really funny. I think it was treehugger.com or .net. And it was talking about like those parent gadgets. Like, those like things for like your stroller and all these like things that they swear are going to make your life like easier. Like, you can walk down the street with, 4 different baby bottles attached, or, this stroller will carry, 15 diaper bags on it, like these caddies and stuff. Like, you don't need that. So, like, that's just one thing I'll say, is that you really don't need that stuff added to your life. You know what I mean? Like, if you're really trying to live a zero waste parenting type of lifestyle, then I highly recommend leaving like the gadgets, the gizmos, all this other stuff just at the store, on the shelves. Leave them for someone else. Just stay focused, like some of that stuff will really pull you. There are so many things that I bought, man. I bought so many things. Like, one thing that I kind of think was a waste, because I could have just like sanitized the seat, was those like seat covers for like, when you go to the store, like if you go to Whole Foods or like wherever, like Stop and Shop or whatever you guys go, like, there's like those caddies that you can put in there. It's just a lot of clutter, you know what I mean? So like, it's just like, I still have like the little boppy. I don't think it's called a boppy, but it's something that it's like a shopping cart aid. And I still have it because it's like, that's part of my journey with my minimalism journey. I have to get rid of it at some point, but I still have this, and it served its purpose, but I probably only used it like 10 times, maybe a little more, but not that much. Like, there's so many gadgets and gizmos, especially for parenting, that swear to make your life easier. Just know that parenting's hard, and it's going to be hard, and a lot of these BS little items that they want you to spend $19.95 on, they're just not going to simplify your life. So just don't even bring them in, and just rock it. Just rock the parenting gig. After 5 years, you'll have it down. You'll have it down that you can hold 15 diaper bags without that stupid stroller caddy, and you didn't spend the money on it, wasting it. And that's one thing I have to say. And I think that's what makes it so hard for people to love the idea of the minimalist and the zero waste lifestyle, to love that, but be so drawn in to like these little things, right? Because we see it all the time on Amazon. I am someone that definitely dealt with that years ago. I'm a lot better with it now. I'm extremely, I record every purchase. I'm very much of like I'm very much of like a very OCD with that. But for a long time, I would just see something and it would just grab my attention. And, even if my home's very neat, even if things are clean, it's like when you bring in all this stuff, it it just clutters your energy, you know, and it's amazing how much zero waste blends into, you know, your mental state. It blends into, you know, staying clutter free. You know, if you have a cluttered mind, you have a cluttered life. So this kind of, I really wanted to focus on, you know, the whole zero waste baby aspect, because we have a lot of parents, congratulations, listening to this show, or, you know, pregnant families. And, you know, we really just want you to know that there's so many different things that you can do to reduce your zero, you know, or reduce your consumption and become more zero waste as a parent. And especially like, because, you know, these children, they're growing up, and, you know, they are going to mimic what they see their families do. So there was actually an article, it escapes me who wrote it, but it said something like, more and more young mothers are switching to cloth diapers. Or I think it's like mothers under 25 are switching to cloth diapers. And that's because, you know, it's starting to become a big thing. Like the reusable industry is starting to become very big. Like people are starting to become more attentive of what's happening. I think we have to thank social media for that. I think we have to thank, you know, a lot of different pages, companies, you know, not to plug Nature's Premiere, but that's why we talk about these issues. Like, because it's not just about like, oh, we're a diaper service. Oh, we do diapers. You know, it's a lot more than that. It's just so much more than that. And if you guys haven't noticed, look at all the episodes we've done. Very few on diapers, because there's a bigger message, in my personal opinion, you know, or you know, just my personal style that I want to bring forth. So if you're someone who's listening that you're like, you know, I really don't want to deal with cloth diapers, that's cool. That's your prerogative. But we're going to share these tips with you. And maybe one day, if you have more children, or if you have a friend that's, you know, pregnant, maybe one day you'll find yourself giving that advice. Be like, you know, maybe I should have checked that out. Maybe it wasn't as bad as people said, you know? It's all about just finding information out, seeing what's going to suit your family. A lot of families are different. And that's one thing that, you know, I try to make very clear. There's families that come from different backgrounds, families that come from different cultures. You know, there's a lot of different families, and, you know, it's very hard to like give advice, but try to be like non-biased, because I come from my own family, you know, and my family was not at all into the zero waste. I'm actually the only vegan in my entire family tree. I was the only vegan for like I don't know, maybe 25 years. And then I had siblings that jumped off the bandwagon. But, you know, everybody's different, you know, and this is all just about giving you advice, giving you tips, and, you know, really trying to just expand this knowledge and, you know, share like-minded views with other families, because, hey, maybe you didn't know that you can use reusable baby wipes. You know, you can even buy like receiving blankets. You can cut the receiving blankets up, especially if you're on a budget. And that's the beautiful thing of it. Like people think, oh, the whole green parenting thing, that's expensive. That's for, you know, certain type of people. That's not true, because real green parenting is not spending a boatload of money you don't have to get that label to fit into a team or a crew or a vibe or, you know, a movement. It's all about like really, if you're really into the environment and you're really into like passing on, you know, different practices, and, you know, really trying to be very mindful of how your children deal with waste as they age, you know, it's actually really cheap, because like I said, cut a bunch of receiving blankets up, make a bunch of, you know, cloth wipes. You can use it for birth cloths. People out there spending $50 on organic birth cloths. That's okay if that's your thing. If, let's say, you have the money for it, and you can truly spend whatever the hell you want to spend on anything. But, you know, it's really kind of takes away from the message that, you know, you don't need to be eco-friendly and spend a ton of money. You could do it on the cheap, and you'd be shocked at how cheap you can do it. You can diaper one baby on $100 for their whole duration of their diapering years. $100. Buy reusable diapers, get a couple of burp cloths, get a couple of cloth wipes, make them yourself, like super duper duper on the cheap, like crazy on the cheap. You can buy 35 diapers for $35. I mean, I'm telling you, diaperswappers.com, ebay.com. There's so many different things that you guys can do. Contact diaper services that are going out of business in the area. There's so many different things that you can do to even just dip your toe in the water, dip your toe in the cloth diapering pool, right? Or maybe that sounded gross, but you guys know what I mean. Come on. So anyway, I hope these tips were helpful for you all. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode. I hope wherever you are in the world that you are having an amazing day, and I will catch you back on the next episode. Take care, friends.